Everybody, you love to see it. The Daily Wire is possibly one of the most evil organizations that exists on the internet. They're this conservative, dark money funded think tank of different content creators that all had a failed career in something else, usually in some other form of entertainment, right? Whether it be writing, acting, directing, go down the line. All of them are just failed at existing in the sphere of entertainment and resorted to creating right-wing grift content as a way of making money to try to break back into that industry as outsiders. They're basically in the process of doing that last step now with creating their own streaming service, their own kids shows that are ripoffs of other real kids shows like Bluey, their adaptation of the Snow White movie meant to piggyback off of Disney's new movie, that's going to star Brett Cooper, who's this lady who is literally in an office at the Daily Wire's headquarters that is made to look like a bedroom she lives in, so it looks like she's some lady who streams from her bedroom and is just talking about her political views. They don't know she's got a multi-million-dollar contract and works from an office. Regardless, though, these people are demonic and awful and horrible. That goes without saying. I've given my opinion on them many times before. But they tend not to disagree. These demons tend to get together in like their big podcast group where they smoke cigars and talk about how they want to oppress minorities and how funny it is, and make their jokes where the punchline is just always like racism or homophobia. And they don't ever really fight. They don't ever disagree because they always agree on one thing: money. They all want to make money, and no matter what, when money's on the line, they will always fall into that line. However, sometimes deeply held beliefs can bubble up to the surface, and they can get between you and money. And that's what's happened here. You see, Candace Owens is a Nazi. Like, just a full-on Nazi. She's one of the most well-documented grifters ever, but her politics have basically evolved to that of Nazi, or I should say devolved. She's gone on rants about how Hitler would have been justified if he just did what he did inside of Germany. She's actually a neo-Nazi. And because of this, she is not pro-Israel, because she doesn't like Jewish people. She doesn't want there to be a Jewish state, right? Even if it's an ethno-state, she doesn't want it to be a Jewish ethno-state. Ben Shapiro, possibly the highest up media figure at all of the Daily Wire, is possibly the most Zionist person ever. I don't know if it gets more Zionist than Ben Shapiro. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are both in the Daily Wire, and as you can imagine, this causes a little bit of problems, a little bit of issues, okay? Recently, an account called Republicans Against Trump tweeted this out. Ben Shapiro criticizes Candace Owens, who works at his company, over her anti-Israel views. Where was he when she praised Hitler, or when she defended Kanye West's anti-Semitism? Well, Ben Shapiro doesn't give a fuck about anti-Semitism, he gives a fuck about anti-Zionism. They're not the same thing.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt, I think it's been absolutely I can't, what was that? Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So, as you can tell, he's quite mad, and he literally roasts her on top of a table in front of a bunch of people at a Republican convention of some kind. Okay, we got another clip here. This is Candace Owens responding to Ben on Tucker Carlson's Twitter show. Look at this.
In 1616, the Roman Inquisition hauled in
We're off to an awful start. I'm already cringing.
Galileo, the Italian astronomer, and commanded him to stop saying that the Earth revolves around the sun. Shut up, they said. Everyone knows that's wrong, and you're a bad person for saying otherwise. That's a well-known story, of course, and we laugh about it now 400 years later because the authorities were completely wrong. Galileo is a hero.
Is Tucker Carlson suddenly anti-Israel? All right. So, when you hear lefties talk about why the U.S. should draw back support for Israel, you hear arguments mostly centered around not wanting to support Israel's genocide or Israel's mass killing of civilians. When you hear these people talk about it, you're going to hear them talk about how America doesn't need to be spending money on a country that isn't us. The opposition here is no doubt going to be on foreign spending and a very slight hint at anti-Semitism.
Hero, they are fools. And we explain this by pointing out that they were religious nuts. They were superstitious. Nothing like that could ever happen now. But it turns out the one constant in human history is human nature. Not only does it happen now, it happens more than ever. Watch Candace Owens get widely attacked, not by one person, but by everyone for being right.
People like Candace Owens and others have been flagrant at putting out disinformation into the public sphere.
The top performing post of the week was this post by Candace Owens, a far right-wing commentator and a favorite on Fox, denigrating George Floyd. It just shows how this website is a radicalization engine.
You do have this sort of parade of MAGA world that are parroting Russian talking points.
Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Tulsi Gabbard, I think somewhere along the line, they don't believe this, but they think that it's in their interest to say these things. These people are almost collaborators.
That Candace Owens video was the top video on Facebook this past week, and she's, saying all sorts.
Remember, guys, moralizing conservatives doesn't work. They'll just take clips of you moralizing them and say, wow, look how triggered they are, and laugh. It fuels their motivation.
To things about George Floyd and denying any systemic racism problems. And so there's a deeper fundamental issue with what the Facebook algorithm and all social media algorithms, what kind of content they reward.
Others doubled down on vaccine disinformation. Folks like right-wing commentator Candace Owens, who told Fox...
You are not going to defend anti-vax shit while I am actively recovering from COVID. I genuinely hope for the deepest. I want hell to be real so fucking bad. I want hell to be real so bad so I can go there when I die, and I can become a demon, and I can torture all these anti-vaxxers for eternity. That'll be my heaven, is asking God if I can go down to hell and become a demon and torture the anti-vaxxers in the deepest fucking pits. God, I hope hell is real.
Followers that she wouldn't take the vaccine, even on her deathbed.
Notice why they were attacking Candace Owens. What did she say? She said, well, actually, George Floyd was not murdered by a racist cop, much less by a systemically racist society. She said, actually, the vaccine doesn't work very well and it may be dangerous. She went on to say, no, Ukraine is not going to win the war against Russia. And for saying these things, every one of which is proven true, she was attacked as an immoral person, a racist, and a traitor.
Wait, what did he just say?
Well, and it may be dangerous. She went on to say, no, Ukraine is not going to win the war against Russia. And for saying these things...
When did anybody give her shit for saying Ukraine won't win the war against Russia? What? The war's not over yet. Also, Ukraine's holding well. What? How's this been proven true?
Every one of which is proven true, she was attacked as an immoral person, a racist, and a traitor to her country. What's interesting, however, is that no one leveling those taxes ever apologized to her. And so maybe like...
No one should apologize to Candace Owens. She's one of the most well-documented grifters out there. There's literally an entire live updated thread that goes into like all the detail of different times that she's like grifted, from when she was like grifting on the left to when she moved over to the right in the span of a month to follow the money.
Galileo, she's gonna have to wait for her descendants to get the praise for her truth-telling. And we thought that seems unfair. So we decided to invite Candace Owens into the studio.
For those who don't know, when Candace Owens was a left-wing grifter, she was the one behind that group that was that website that was going to be behind doxing internet harassers. I forgot what it was called. It had a really cringy, like, SJW-y name. The anti-SJWs destroyed her for this. But she was making a website that was centered around doxing internet harassers. Yeah, like woke Kiwi farms, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that was Candace Owens' grift before the conservative grift. She's always been a shameless piece of shit grifter.
And congratulate her face-to-face. Candace Owens, thank you for joining us.
It was called, like, social
By the way,
autopsy.
you're about to have another descendant.
Actually, yeah, 40 weeks, but I was
pregnant.
not missing this. I was so excited.
so
I'm
nice.
honored to be here.
Well, so it's a little weird to see yourself. Look, we all get things wrong. I certainly have gotten a lot of things wrong. I think it's fair to be attacked for getting it wrong. But if you get it right, and it's proven that you got it right, and in 3 instances it has been proven that you did on the biggest issues of the day, shouldn't the people who attacked you apologize?
One of my favorite things about conservatives is that they just, like, say they were right about culture war issues. They did it with the soy thing. We talked about this earlier, right? Didn't you notice all the conservatives that were harassing Ant Venom? How they were talking about the soy feminizing people thing and soy being unhealthy thing? Like, it was proven science instead of it being long disproven science, which it is. They just pretend like reality agrees with them and insist that they are maligned for people not apologizing to them for how they were proven right, when they were absolutely unequivocally proven wrong. They are delusional, and they are really mad you don't share their delusion.
Apologize, and shouldn't someone at least point out, hey, Candace Owens was right about that?
No, I think what tends to happen is they have too much ego and they're too proud, and they want to sort of move on and pretend that they weren't as radical as they were in their stances, and calling you a grandma killer, if you wanted to go out the door and get groceries, or if you wanted to maybe see your grandma, because grandma shouldn't be dying alone, even if she is dying. So it takes a tremendous...
She was one of the people saying you should go see your elderly loved ones if you have COVID. Yeah, that's what she's defending right now. What they're claiming right now is COVID has been beaten, that's been proven not deadly or a problem. By the way, I only, right around the time I got reinfected, was finally getting over the symptoms of long COVID. If you want to get a look at what long COVID does to people, I've been wanting to do a segment that goes more in depth on this for a while, but we can do it now. This video is from the Physics Girl YouTube channel, really big science channel. She got COVID and recovered, but it gave her long COVID. And she got pretty much the worst version of long COVID you can get. This is what Candace Owens is claiming victory and being right about not existing, by the way.
It's not Diana, obviously. My name is Simone. Diana is one of my best friends, and people often get the two of us mixed up, so maybe that's something. As you might know, last year Diana got COVID, and over the last couple of months, she's slowly gotten worse to the point...
This video's a year old, by the way. Her most recent health update is that she's improved enough to sit up for like 2 minutes on Halloween.
...point where her condition has become potentially life-threatening.
How are you feeling? Hold on, one second. Hey, I'm Diana, and you're watching Physics Girl. What do I do with my hands? My head is not... Make a clip.
Everything's fine until you feel that scratch in your throat.
My wife needs to go to the emergency room.
She has ME/CFS, which is a post-COVID fatigue disorder that can range from, like, you stand up while you're at work and then you, like, fall back down to your chair and pass out for a second, or, like, you're in her condition and you literally need to be, like, fed through a straw because you're like your like jaw muscles don't work. You don't have the energy to chew. That's where she is. She has to go to the hospital like weekly.
Diana's health has spiraled down to the point where she can barely move. Like, she can't feed herself. And in the past week, she has been to the ER twice. Diana has long COVID, and that has triggered something called MECFS. It's a chronic fatigue syndrome that is extremely debilitating, and Kyle, her husband, has become her full-time caretaker. Her mom visits and helps as much as she can, but her condition keeps her limited from seeing any other friends or family right now because it's too exhausting for her. So
hundreds of thousands of people around the world are suffering from this, as well as other more less severe versions of long COVID, and people like Biden who are claiming we've beat COVID, it's over, we've won, and people like Candace Owens who say it's not a big deal, go see grandma while you're sick with COVID, go to school, go to work, get other people infected, are the reason that countless more people are going to have to deal with that. Because here's the thing about COVID, it's not going anywhere. Some percentage of people who get COVID end up like her, and COVID's not going anywhere. You have to understand, this is just a thing that exists now. So if in this amount of time, a certain amount of people have been put into this position, imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years of COVID being how it is now. If there is not a substantial crackdown and forcing into lockdowns until we can eradicate it, like countries like New Zealand did, as an entire planet, if we don't eradicate it, then countless more people will suffer like she is. Which is why it fills me with rage to see Candace Owens, who is a multi-millionaire, smugly talk about how she deserves an apology for saying that the vaccine is bad, you shouldn't get vaccinated, and COVID's not a big deal, you should go out and infect other people.
This amount of humility to admit that you were wrong.
Demons. These people are demons. Lesser than demons.
And just that they had more nuance than they did.
They're demon
on the issue
shit.
of the day, which is fine with me. I'm totally.
I mean,
fine
it's one
with
thing
that.
not to admit you're wrong. I understand it's difficult to do that. I have to force myself. But to attack other people for being right and then apologize for it does seem immoral.
It is immoral, and when we're living in an environment where there is a lot of media immorality, you know, people would rather you parrot certain talking points rather than have a meaningful discussion and a meaningful dialogue, and they don't accept.
Guys, the thing is, MECFS won't happen to the anti-vaxxers. The anti-vaxxers are the people, mostly, who get COVID and it doesn't affect them as bad. Sometimes some people have anomalous natural resistances to COVID to the extent that they don't get it as bad. They just, it's not really a big deal for them. But they're massive carriers. Those people will be huge anti-vaxxers, very anti any form of restrictions on spreading COVID, and they will asymptomatically spread it around to countless other people as they wear their MAGA hat, and they will never face the consequences of what they're spreading.
Accept it. And at the moment that they start to censor speech and they start talking.
And you better believe they'll laugh at people who have the worst symptoms and say, look at me, I got it, and I'm out at the beach getting other people sick. What do you mean, you fucking pussies? Those are the people that are anti-vaxxers, the ones who are not getting sick, who are not dealing with any negative effects. There is no karma here. Yeah, nothing but rage. Nothing but rage.